A deep-sea submarine gets trapped after a seismic event. The submarine drifted through the deep like a steel shadow, its lights cutting thin paths through the dark water.
Engineering looks good, steady as she goes.
Confirmed. The reactor hum is perfect.
Helm is holding course, ma'am.
Inside, everything felt steady, panels glowing softly. Instruments ticking with quiet confidence. The low hum of the engines settling the crew into a familiar rhythm. Conversations were calm, almost casual, the kind that only happen when people trust the ocean to behave. No alarms, no tension, just routine swallowing every minute as if nothing down here could ever change. But the deep remembers what humans forget. Far beyond the reach of their lights, something moved slow, deliberate, ancient. The crew didn't notice the subtle shift in temperature or the faint vibration running along the hull. They were too used to peace, too willing to believe that silence meant safety. Even the narrator inside their minds would struggle to explain why the water suddenly felt heavier, or why the darkness pressed closer than usual. Yet something was coming, rising from a place untouched by sunlight or certainty. And the deep had already begun whispering its warning to anyone who could feel before they heard.
If we maintain this depth, the stress factor should remain negligible. What was that?
We have a major contact, bearing 090, impact imminent.
The first vibration was so small that no one reacted to it. A soft tremor, barely enough to disturb the air, but enough to make one crew member pause mid-sentence. Then a second vibration rolled through the submarine, stronger this time, nudging loose tools across a metal counter.
Did you feel that? It isn't a glitch.
Did you feel that? Someone whispered, but no one had an answer. A distant rumble echoed along the hull, low and uneasy, and the sonar screen blinked with distorted shapes that made no sense. "Sonar's glitching," the operator said, tapping the monitor. "No," another replied, voice tightening, "that's not a glitch." The floor shuddered, a warning delivered by the deep itself.
Hold on, everyone, hold on! Secure all loose equipment!
Before anyone could brace, a seismic wave slammed into the submarine with a force that felt personal. The entire vessel lurched sideways, metal groaning as lights flickered overhead. Alarms screeched. Papers flew. Someone grabbed a railing and shouted, "Hold on!" As the tremor rolled through them again, harder, faster.
Stabilize the dive, we're taking heavy damage!
Outside, the cameras caught flashes of collapsing rock, clouds of debris spiraling upward like underwater smoke. Pressure gauges jumped wildly, the needles trembling as if afraid. The crew no longer spoke in calm sentences but in sharp breaths and clipped commands, each one rising with the unmistakable realization that the ocean was no longer still and no longer safe.
We've lost thrust! We are in an uncontrolled descent!
The quake left the submarine trembling long after the shaking stopped, as if the metal itself still remembered the impact. Then the real trouble began. The propulsion system sputtered, its steady hum breaking into uneven pulses that sent vibrations crawling along the floor. "We're losing thrust," an engineer called out, eyes darting between failing readouts.
Bring her back to level! Full reverse thrusters! The controls are frozen, Captain! I can't move it!
Stabilizers jammed next, locking without warning and sending a harsh shudder through the vessel. Overhead, the lights flickered in uneven bursts, throwing the room into a rhythm of shadow and glare. "Bring us back to level," the captain ordered. Hands moved instantly, but the controls pushed back with dead resistance. "Reverse thrusters," he shouted, "now."
Nothing's responding, sir.
The response came strained and shaking. "Nothing's responding, sir." A long, eerie creak swept through the submarine as it began sinking slow at first, then steadily faster, pulled downward by forces no one could counter. Pressure alarms erupted in a shrill chorus, warning of depths they weren't meant to reach this quickly.
Stabilize the descent. All ahead, full!
We're losing control, Captain. Depth is critical.
Stabilize descent. Someone yelled, but the commands felt powerless, swallowed by the rising tension. Numbers on the depth gauge climbed with relentless speed, each digit a reminder of how far they were falling. Fear settled in sharp and silent, shared across every tense glance. No one dared to speak the question forming in their minds. How deep would the ocean drag them before it let go, or if it ever would? The descent slowed only when the submarine slammed into something solid, the impact jarring every rib of the hull. A grinding roar followed, metal scraping against rock as the vessel wedged itself into a narrow trench carved by the quake. The light steadied just long enough for the crew to see the depth gauge freeze. But the relief died instantly when the next sound arrived, a deep, strained groan. The kind that meant the ocean was pushing harder than the steel could bear.
We are pinned. Try the thrusters again, full power.
It's useless, Captain. We're completely sealed by the rock slide.
"We're pinned," an officer whispered, staring at the external feed. The cameras showed almost nothing now, just drifting debris and a darkness so complete it looked alive. The captain leaned closer to the monitor, voice steady but eyes tight. "Try thrusters again." The engineer shook his head. "We're locked in, sir. Rockslide sealed us in place."
Leak in compartment 3.
How bad is it?
Containable, for now.
A sudden sprinkle of water hit the floor, then another. "Leak in compartment 3. A crew member shouted, already moving to seal the area. "How bad?" someone asked. "Containable, for now." But the uncertainty in his voice said more than the words. Pressure crept through the walls like a living presence, each groan a reminder of their fragile isolation.
I know the tension is high, but we must remain calm. The hull is straining, but it's holding.
"Stay calm," the captain said, but even he felt the air thinning with fear. The narrator inside their thoughts might have described it simply. Above them, 1,000,000 tons of ocean waited, patient and indifferent. The crew exchanged quiet, fearful glances, each one carrying the same unspoken question. How long could the submarine endure before the deep decided it wouldn't?
The primary grid has failed. We are now running on backup reserves.
The power began to fade in slow. Unsettling waves, each system dimming as if the submarine were falling asleep against its will. Screens dulled to a low glow, engines quieted to a dying murmur, and then the primary grid went dark altogether. A moment later, the backup batteries clicked on with a weak hum, bathing the corridors in a pale, uncertain light. "We're on reserves," someone warned.
The meters are still dropping. We're losing air. Seal the lower compartments now.
Then came the second blow. The oxygen meters dipped sharply, their numbers dropping faster than anyone expected. "That can't be right," an officer muttered, tapping the gauge. But the air already felt thinner, colder, touched by a creeping chill that seeped through the walls. Alarms erupted again, one after another, shrill reminders that the ocean didn't need to rush in to kill them. It only needed time.
Compartment 4 is flooding!
Seal the compartment!
But there are still people inside, Captain.
A shout cut through the noise. "Compartment 4 is flooding." Crew members sprinted toward the bulkhead, water pooling around their boots. "Seal it," the captain ordered. "There are still people inside." Someone protested, voice cracking. A beat of agony hung between them. Then the captain spoke again, quieter but firm. "We have to shut it, now." The heavy door slammed closed with a final metallic thud.
It's failing! I can't maintain pressure! Seal the bulkheads now. We're taking on water.
The hull won't hold.
Breathing grew faster, harsher, as cold spread through the submarine like a second skin. No one pretended they were in control anymore. Desperation pressed in from every angle, and still the alarms kept screaming, insisting that the worst had yet to arrive.
We overload the lateral thrusters to shake her free. It's a risk, but it just might.
The idea came from the only place. Desperation ever leaves room for someone willing to risk everything. "If we overload the lateral thrusters, we might shake ourselves loose," the engineer said, voice trembling with equal parts fear and resolve. Heads turned toward him, eyes wide. "Might?" someone echoed. He nodded.
Hull stress is critical, Captain.
I know the risks. Prepare the overload sequence. Now.
It could rupture the hull. But if we stay here, we don't last another hour. The captain didn't hesitate long. "Prep the overload," he ordered, and the crew moved with a sharp, Focused urgency born from the instinct to survive.
Pressure spiking! Systems nearing failure!
Warnings flashed across every remaining screen as the thrusters charged far beyond their intended limits. The submarine groaned under the strain, the metal protesting in long, tortured screeches. Pressure spiking. Someone shouted. "Hold it," the captain replied, gripping the rail so tightly his knuckles whitened. The floor vibrated, then shook violently, as if the deep itself was trying to tear them apart. Bolts rattled. Lights flickered. A deafening crack tore through the hull's frame.
Emergence thrust. Full reverse.
The captain yelled. The thrusters fired in one explosive burst. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened, just shuddering metal and crushing pressure. Then the submarine jolted sideways, ripped free of the rock that held it. Silence followed, thin and fragile, leaving everyone wondering what damage the escape had cost them. The submarine drifted upward with a fragile slowness, as if the deep were reluctant to let it go. Systems sputtered, flickered, then steadied just enough to light the exhausted faces of the crew. No one spoke at first. They were listening to the absence of alarms, to the quiet creak of metal returning to equilibrium, to the faint hum of machinery struggling back to life. Communication snapped in and out.
Rescue ships have detected a beacon.
Scattering fragments of distant voices through the cabin. Then at last, a clear signal broke through. Rescue ships had detected their beacon. A wave of relief moved through the crew, not loud or triumphant, but soft, shared, almost reverent. Hands that had been shaking found stillness. Breaths that had been shallow came deeper, warmer. They had survived the place meant to crush them. As the submarine rose toward forgiving water, the narrator inside their thoughts spoke the only truth that fit the moment. The ocean does not rage, it remembers. And those who endure its depths rise changed forever in their bones.